with the introduction of the new alternate golem gems, you can summon 3 golems instead of 1 right now, and it's easier to just fight behind your golems, use them defensively or offensively. And with the new alternate Absolution, you can actually gain damage from increased minion damage nodes, and it's just crazy. And you can look at the damage and it's just crazy, and the screen is just you can just clear the entire screen while your minion just taunts the enemies. So it's a very crazy it's a crazy clear skill, and it's a skill that you can use to clear maps and kill bosses because of its high DPS and high AoE. Right now it is quite a new build, and lots of people are just using it as a self-cast, Absolution as a self-caster. They are not utilizing the golems to actually deal damage or use the golems defensively to help them survive longer in maps and in boss fights. And for me, I've been using 2 of these golems, the stone golem in particular, and also the chaos golem. And these golems actually help to engage my enemies in fights before I actually clear the screen, or they can actually detect enemies before I move up to clear them. And it's such an interesting build, right? And you can look at this boss fight where there are actually 2 bosses, and I'm just constantly clearing the room. And if there are just enemies that that needs to be picked up, my golems will just pick them up with their taunt, and it's just so easy, right? With minions build, it's hard to build a tank. It's hard to build a tank minion, a tank summoner. But when you have the offensive power and the defensive advantage for your minions, it's just way easier. Right, I'm using Minion Helm with +3 to socketed minion gems. All these gems are supported by minion damage and everything. So I'm using Absolution, right? It's all physical. So this alternate version of Absolution actually has increases, actually benefits from increases from minion skill. And I do have Awaken Spell Cascade as a support gem, right? And all of this AoE, it actually overlaps. When you have Awaken Spell Cascade, it affects multiple areas, and when you have a higher area of effect, they will actually overlap. Spell Echo, the spell will just repeat, dealing double damage. And Awaken added fire damage support, it just scales with the physical damage. Right, and because of the gem, it also benefits from quality. So I have Ashes of the Stars, Hatred. I do have increased reservation efficiency, +1 to gems. Right, and what I'm using is Annihilating Light. It does triple damage with elemental skills, and it does have 6 sockets, allowing me to socket my stone golems. Right, it also has a defensive ability allowing me to block. So I'm using stone golem the holds. It's quite good because it allows me to summon 3 smaller golems, and they have cooldown recovery rate. Right, I supported it with minion damage, minion speed, and power support, which gives it life and damage. I'm also supporting it with Withering Charge, which actually increases the damage my enemies take. And since it's all physical, it it scales the physical damage as chaos as well. And Freezing Frenzy, which actually gives all of my minions a buff. Right, I'm also using a ring that actually reduces my mana cost. Absolution is very expensive at the very high levels, and especially with all the support gems, you do need to have a ring that actually reduces the mana cost. So right now it's 108 mana. I do have strength, and I do have aspect of the cat skill because my armor is using aspect of the cat, and stats just to make sure that all my gear can be worn, and you know this just adds a little bonus. And I also have life. Pharaoh's Foe. I'm using Pharaoh's Foe because of the frenzy charges and the power charges it provides. So for me, it does provide a total of 4 frenzy charges and 4 power charges. And it does provide a good amount of armor and evasion. So this armor is actually comparable to a lot of the rare armors in the game. And a bonus is the 96 to maximum life. And you know, I have phasing while with cat stealth, so I can actually move through monsters. Yeah. What I'm using on the armor are just all of my auras and Harrods. I'm using Harrod with Ash because it takes physical damage and scales it. And the reason why it works because I'm also using Original Sin, which converts all of the image, all of the damage itself to chaos. And the second spell is Clarity. I need mana, you know, so Clarity is a good aura. Enlighten support, which actually reduces the mana reservation. Hatred, which also scales my physical damage as cold. Discipline, which gives me additional energy shield. And I don't have a huge amount of EHP as you can see because I am just scaling my damage, but the minions help with the survivability. Anger, which actually gives me additional fire damage to spells, and the Watcher's Eye gem also scales my damage. And here's my Watcher's Eye. My Watcher's Eye is providing me with mana recovery rate, flat cold damage when affected by hatred, and 22% of physical damage as extra, fire damage while affected by anger. I'm also using a Triad Grip, right, which also benefits Stone Golem, and it just converts all physical damage of my minions to chaos damage. And it also benefits Original Sin because all of their resistance, all of my enemies' resistance that are close to me are 0. So I'm using Summon Chaos Golem of Maelstrom. It actually increases the chance of dealing Wizard on the enemies. And Withering Touch, it actually creates kind of like a mini storm around the Chaos Golem itself, and it actually causes enemies around it to be weeded. I'm using Enhance, which actually increases that chance. Awaken Enhance is better, but it's too expensive right now. Let's say you want to get level 6, you know, Awaken Enhance, or the max level Awaken Enhance. Right, so yes, my Stone Golem actually has around 90+% of dealing reset by itself. Right, I'm using Mage Blood as well. I'm using Critical Strike Flasks and High Resist Flasks as well. armor flasks as well because of annihilating light. I do have to increase my defenses and resist by a lot due to the elemental reduction. I'm using bubonic troll. Um, I'm using it for the increased reservation efficiency, and I'm also getting a jewel for the movement speed. I'm only using this unique jewel for the stats, which is 8 to all attributes. There are no other jewels that I can use, so I'll just use this jewel by itself just to get the bonus to reservation. I'm using Enfeeble, I'm using increased area of effect, I'm using dash as a movement skill. So this is how I cast Enfeeble, and then it has a wide area and I can just bombard my enemies with my skill. And these are all of the auras, hatred. Usually I'll cast two Chaos Golems because their attacks they do not scale. Even if you have another one, it's not of much use. It's not a ×2 kind of effect. They are just there to cause my enemies to gain weighted stacks faster. So my enemies will get to 15 weighted stacks and I will deal much more damage. So they are kind of like a debuff minions on my enemy. And then I would summon like 3 stone golems. These golems will be my damage dealers, so they are offensive as well. So 3 and 2, all of them are immune to elemental damage, and I've never seen them die once in a tier 16 map. So what I'm focusing on, I do have fire resistance on this elegant hubris. I have 240 increase minion damage. I have 240 increase spell critical strike chance. I do have things that are like mana regeneration rate. Right. And mana regeneration rate is essential for Absolution. Lightning resist and fire resist, minion life, all of this are useful notables. I'm also using critical strike chance for spells, critical strike multiplier for spells, spell leech as energy shield and life. And I do have reduced mana reserve notables as well, so that I can use more of my auras. Critical strike multiplier, critical strike chance, maximum frenzy charges. I do have increased cast speed and also some resist in order to just cap my resistance. And all of this gain 10% of physical damage as extra, elemental damage. All of these are very useful. Converting my physical damage is very useful because I convert 100% of elemental damage into chaos, right? And this is the Watcher's Eye gem, which actually allows me to gain physical damage as additional fire. All of this are health and elemental strike. We also do need AoE as well is used for the builds for Absolution to overlap on bigger enemies or smaller enemies. Maximum power charges. My critical strike chance is actually 100, so it's very essential to get it to 100. right? Maximum mana and mana regeneration is very essential because we need it to cast the spell quickly. And the chance to taunt actually gives us additional defensive capabilities. Our Chaos Golem will actually taunt the enemies. Our Stone Golems will actually taunt the enemies. Our Absolution minions will also taunt the enemies. Or rather, just the melee minions will taunt the enemies. Absolution minions actually cast spells, so they don't taunt. I'm using Elementalist, so I just went all the way to Elemental just to get additional maximum summon golems. Uh, they are immune to elemental damage, which is a huge defensive buff, and then increased buff granted by my minions per summon golem, so it's just crazy. 5 5 times 25 is 125 increased maximum buff. This is the best minion defensive kind of build. You know, they won't die at all. Summon golems are resummoned after 4 seconds of being killed. You know, I have +1 to maximum number of summon golems. So it's just amazing. Golems seldom die. They die, they're just resummoned. So it's just extremely useful. Exposure is one of the things that are quite useless. I don't actually use this notable or ascendancy, right? But I'm using Heart of Destruction, so you know, increased area of effect, and the more damage is actually extremely useful. You can use this, or you can go with the all damage actually shocks, which I think is better, you know, and it increases damage taken by at least 15%. It might be better, and if you want to go for more EHP, you can go to the elemental shield by itself. I think it's very useful, right? You know, and all of this it benefits from the increased effect of lightning elements, which is on the helm as well, and we do have innovate as well. So you can choose that as well, or you can choose you know, the increased AoE and the increased AoE actually allows me to clear faster. That's all about the view. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Thanks, guys.